Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to take the mask off because I'm not going to be 15 minutes long. But you want me to wear a mask because I work with 99 strange people from all across the country. So, well, 97. There's 2 of them that are not strange at all, and I'm going to talk about them in a moment. But thank you guys for rallying here today and being here today. Obviously, we are now about a week removed from the last election day, and you're thrown into a new one. I will say I'm a little jealous because I got to tell you, this is supposed to be Florida's job to have a tight election that we're still talking about weeks later. So you're stealing our spotlight. And but I think we should begin where Bonnie just mentioned, and that is there is one thing in this deeply divided country that I think all Americans still cheer and appreciate, and that is the men and women who serve and have served us in uniform. And I want to thank you on this Veterans Day. And I want to thank your families, because that is and that's not a throwaway line. I mean, that's not a throwaway line. I want everybody to understand that as I'm speaking to you right now, there's a young man or a young woman whose family love them and they love our country, who are somewhere in this world in harm's way, not in literally in harm's way, and risk their lives for us every single day so that we could have the freedom to be here at home arguing about the things that we like to argue about. And so I deeply appreciate it. Bonnie, you did a great job. As I told her back there, I mean, we're glad you're here. We think you're a great voice. And David Perdue, who's not here because he's working so hard, David is a unique member of the Senate. This is a guy, first of all, he's an electrical engineer, right? Isn't that what it was, electrical engineer? I don't know anything about engineering, so right away, or I don't know if it was electrical. He's in engineering, okay? I'm just not good at any of that stuff. But then he became so successful in business and helped build some of the best brands that we recognize in America today. And you may say, well, that's great in business. What does it have to do with politics? Well, so much of what we make decisions about are the economy. And to have someone that understands what goes through the minds and what influences the decisions that people that create jobs make has been invaluable for our conference. When we were working on the small business package, I relied on him quite a bit and went back and talked to him about the impact of this and the impact of that and what it would mean and what it would do. His insights were extraordinary. So that is the reason why it's so important that he be reelected. And I want to thank all of you for being here today and working so hard on his behalf. And the same can be said for Kelly. Kelly comes from a very similar background in terms of everything she's brought to the Senate and everything that she's been able to offer us there. Senator Loeffler has been fantastic in all of these things that she has brought forward. She was also, I have the text messages. I almost pulled them up and read them to you that she was sending to me late at night talking when we were working and negotiating PPP, and a lot of those ideas made it there. And I can tell you for a fact that those contributions that she made to that debate are the reason why there are small businesses in this state and across this country that are open and jobs that were not lost because that program passed and the president signed it and the contributions she made. That is the reason why we need someone like her to continue in the Senate. She's also shown... And one more thing, she's shown extraordinary fortitude in the face of all sorts of efforts to silence her, to criticize her, to shame her. That's the things they do in American politics. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. And I think we need that kind of fortitude in America today, and we need that kind of fortitude in the United States Senate. And I'm very proud to be here on her behalf. I got to tell you guys, I mean, I have one observation that's just aside. You guys met in the first grade. All right. I was in the first grade for 3 years. I don't remember anybody from first grade. So I just wanted to make that point. Best 3 years of my life. And now, that's the reason why you need to vote for these folks in normal times. It's rare to get people like this to run for office and serve. But I want to talk to you about the other reality. And that is that rarely does a state, rarely do a people get the opportunity that you've been handed. And that is to determine in a non-presidential race the very direction of the country. Now, I want you to know what we run into all across the country. What we run into are people that run for office, and they will tell you, I am not a radical. I am going to be a moderate. I am going to be, and that may very well be who they are. Unfortunately, when it comes time to vote, they vote right down the party line. I'm not going to say who it is, but the other day on television, I saw one of these so-called moderate Democratic members of the Senate. And I believe he is. I believe that that's exactly who he is. That's just not how he votes. And so on issue after issue, that's not how they vote. Now, in this particular case, the two individuals that are running as their opponents aren't moderates and don't pretend to be. Or at least maybe they'll pretend to be now. But it's irrelevant. Because when they get there, they vote right down the line. And what is that line? Well, let me tell you what that line is. A lot of people are writing nationally. I live in Miami, Florida. Grown up there almost my entire life. And people say, oh, it's amazing how well the president did there. Republicans made tremendous gains down there. 2 congressional seats flipped. And they ask... And I have all these people from the national press asking, why did that happen? You know, what happened? What did Republicans do to get the Hispanic vote and so forth? I said, the Democrats that were running are crazy. These are crazy things that they're talking about doing. And normal people don't like crazy things. What do I mean by crazy? This is real crazy. These are crazy things they don't like. They don't think, look, everybody supports the First Amendment. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but we should all support the First Amendment right to protest. If there's a problem and you don't like it, you have every right in the world to protest. That's a key part of our rights and of our country. You don't have a right to burn down a city. You don't have a right to take over a street. You know, there is no, we forget a week ago at this time, or maybe 8 days ago at this time, the news was filled with stories of major American cities where these businesses were putting up plywood, which is what we do when a hurricane is on the way, but not when an election is on the way. And I assure you, they weren't putting up that plywood because conservatives were going to be upset at the outcome of an election. These are radical elements. These are radical elements. So these people don't like that. These people don't like police brutality. Our men and women in law enforcement are extraordinary human beings. Now, they'll be the first ones to tell you that, like any endeavor that involves human beings, there are people among them that do things that shouldn't be done. But that doesn't mean you get rid of the police department and replace them with social workers. Because if, God forbid, tonight someone breaks into your home and holds your family at gunpoint, you don't want a grief counselor. You don't want somebody there to sort of talk them through it. You want police officers to show up and save your life and your family's life. And so they think defunding the police is crazy. They think it's crazy. They're upset. You know, some people are really upset about this. They've got kids. I know, forget about people. I personally know people whose kids are in college, okay? And they've got a crazy professor saying outrageous things. And I'm not saying all professors are crazy. I'm saying there's a lot of crazy professors. There are. Believe whatever you want. But these kids are terrified. They're terrified that they're going to fail that course or get a bad grade if they don't agree with the crazy. There are people in America who work in places where they are afraid to put a bumper sticker on their car or wear a hat because they could get fired. And if you think I'm exaggerating, they're making lists. There are people right now making lists of people they want to go after. And members of Congress making lists about people. We're going to go after these people and destroy their lives. This is lunacy. It's lunacy. So yeah, normal people, you know, that just, here's normal people that want to own a home and raise their family in a safe community and retire with dignity and have a country that's safe and stable and give their children a chance at a better life. They're going to vote against people that are crazy and that want to undermine all of that. And that's what's at stake in this election. Because if we don't control the United States Senate, that is the agenda that's going to be pushed. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if the majority of the Democrats, if you polled them and gave them truth serum, were not in favor of it. Because all the energy in that party, all the money in that party, all the people who get on the cover of magazines in that party are in favor of these radical things. Now there's one more element that was especially true in Florida. And that is, in South Florida in particular, we have a lot of people who came to this country to get away from socialism and Marxism. And so these people are thinking to themselves, you know, I got on a boat. I left everything behind. I risked being eaten by a shark to get away from socialism. Why in the world would I want to bring that now here? And that's where I'm reminded of Senator Loeffler's opponent. Okay, this is a true story. The true story. 25 years ago, he was a pastor at a church in New York that invited Fidel Castro to speak. And I want you to go on C-SPAN. It's there on the website, and you'll find the video. It's there. They cheered him wildly. The speech, first he attacked America throughout the speech. There were people chanting, "We wish we had you instead of Mayor Giuliani." And then he ended the speech, Fidel ended the speech by leading a singing of the hymn, you know, which is the hymn of global socialism, International or something. I don't know the words to it. Think about that. Now, you know, 25 years later, one of the pastors of the church wants to be the U.S. Senator from Georgia. So, all that reminds me of is this. It is true. To be fair, not all Democrats are socialists, but all the socialists are Democrats. All of them. Bernie Sanders, to his credit, he doesn't lie about it. He says, I'm a socialist. He says it. And he caucuses with the Democrats. And they're members of the House. You may know who they are. Members of the Socialist Party, but they run as Democrats. They're in that party. And these aren't like fringe elements. They have real influence. When they speak, people jump. What stands in the way of all that becoming public policy in America? Even half of it becoming public policy in America. You, through your vote in this race. And let me just, I'll close with this. Let me close. Usually you get to do these events and it's like this one race is the difference between that and what we want for our country. Here you have two of them. This is literally, you know, the showdown of all showdowns in terms of politics and what it means. And we don't want to win one of them. We want to win both of them. We need to win both of them. And that is an extraordinary opportunity. So if you're a local television station, I see they're represented here today, you're going to make a lot of money over the next few weeks in, you know, advertising. So you're going to have a lot of political visitors from all across the political spectrum coming to speak. My understanding, what I learned last night, is they're even inviting people to move here because they can vote. I mean, I got to tell you, I can't do that. It would create all kinds of problems for me. But that's how important this is. That's how much this matters. And all I'm here to ask you to do is to tell you, and nothing I've said here is an exaggeration as to what the stakes are. They're that important. And I know that we're going into December and early January. There's a lot of other things that should be going on in our lives this time of year. But this year's different. What an understatement. This year's different. But this year's different. And it matters as much as any election I've ever been involved in. And you've been given this unique opportunity to make a difference. And so if you can knock on that one extra door, if you can bring that one extra volunteer, if you can bring to the polls that one extra worker that happens to have lived here for more than a couple hours, if you can, anything you can do to be helpful, we just ask you to do it for the sake of the entire country. This is Georgia's decision to make, but it's America that will live with the consequences of the decision that they make here. And so we're going to do everything we can to help from across the border in Florida. There's no wall. And and we're not going to pay for it in Florida, in case you're wondering. we're going to do everything we can to help, but ultimately the decision is in your hands. And we just implore you, as fellow Americans, do everything you can to win these races. We must win these races. I can't exaggerate what's at stake. And I think you couldn't have better candidates. This isn't even one of those races where you're like, well, I don't like the person, but I'm going to vote for him because I really dislike the other person. These are good candidates. You should be proud of them. They're great senators. They're patriots. They share our values. They represent you well. And one of them, who you'll hear from now, is I think, a rising star in our party and really someone who I think is going to be a critical key player in so much of what our party is going to be able to do for our country in the years to come. And that's why I want to bring on now the person you're really here to hear speak, and that is Senator Kelly Loeffler. She's going to win. Thank you.